Well, good morning, everyone. It's been a little while since we've worked on cars, and unfortunately, we have problems with pretty much every single one of my cars, and not a lot of time before the New Year's, and obviously a lot of things will be closed on New Year's, so I'm going to try and get as many things done today as I can. We're going to start with the Mercedes here. This is a very minor problem. There's nothing that will stop me from driving this car, but when I got these wheels installed, which you guys might have remembered, believe it or not, the tire shop forgot to reinstall the tire pressure monitoring sensors. Yes, problem number one, simple problem. That tire shop is like almost an hour away. They said they'd take care of it, no problem. It takes up a lot of time for me to go there and back, so I've called a few other tire shops. They want like over $100 because they have to dismount, remount the tires, balance all that stuff. So we're just going to take it back there when we have the time. That leads me to the Audi right here. This battery, this is the original battery that came with the car. It is finally copped out. This is a 2015, so this is an over 2-year-old battery. That's to be pretty much expected, especially when it's sat for so long dead. It's worked for me thus far, but we need to go out and get a new battery for this. Also, the Corvette, which is not here, obviously, that battery is completely dead. So we're going to go out and buy a couple batteries today. I'm going to show you how I get batteries super cheap for these cars especially, because these aren't batteries you can sometimes just run to a Walmart and get really inexpensive. So we're going to do that. And talking about issues, Domino's car. Why you gotta be so rude? Okay, I know it doesn't look like I've done anything on the front of this car the last few weeks. Kind of true, kind of not true. This has been the major holdup. Right here, I've got my AC gauges, okay? You can see that. I've got the vacuum down there. I've tried to pull a vacuum in this car, of course, in the accident. All the original condenser lines were beaten up, broken, condenser trashed, everything like that. And obviously here in Florida, we need AC. There's no living without that. So I went, hooked everything up, pulled a vacuum, and then there was a slow leak, and yeah, so there's no vacuum. I traced it down to this line right here. What happened is, when I was tightening this screw, it pulled the stud completely out of the mounting hole right there. Now, I was wondering, how in the heck would the stud just pull out? See, there's another one right here, same exact thing. And it dawned on me that the floodwaters definitely got that high and sat in there. So I don't know if that messed with the threads inside there. So I went ahead, I bought a helicoil set. That was a total waste because, well, it worked. I think I put it in kind of crooked. Needless to say, this is still not sitting completely flush against here like it should. It's not making a proper seal, and well, the system's not holding a vacuum, which means there will be no AC. So I'm waiting on an AC condenser as we speak. It should be delivered today. Wow, I couldn't have timed that any more perfectly. In the middle of recording that, FedEx just showed up with our condenser. It's in there. Let's take this out. Let's see if we can't just quickly swap it. We'll pull a vacuum, then we'll go for our ride. We'll come back and we'll see if this car finally holds a vacuum. If it does, that means pretty much the entire front end can go back together. We can actually drive it off of here, do a little test run, make sure there's no major leaks, anything like that. Oh, geez, I forgot talking about leaks. Just in the middle of the day, the other day, a little bit of transmission fluid started coming, I think out of where the axle meets up with the transmission housing. Another thing I gotta look at. I gotta get this car out of here, guys. Let's put that in. Let's hope that it works. Everything here seems to fit really nice and snug. You can see the brand new one is in, and that even looks a little bit more flush. That's what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and we got to just do this really quick. Give this power. Wrong one. Open these guys up here. You might have seen this before on a Chris Fix video, kind of like how I learned how to do it, but basically this has to go all the way down and hold a vacuum. We want the closest thing we can, 30 inches of mercury, and then we're going to seal off the system. Once it's sealed off, we'll take that car ride about an hour or so, and that's good because then we can take the car ride, get the batteries, and we come back. If this stays at the same exact spot it is, then basically that means that the system's holding vacuum, there's no leaks. So I showed you everything that's wrong with my other cars. Again, small issues, albeit they're all annoying. They all take time out of the day. Now, check this one. This one's probably the strangest of them all. When I start the car, listen very carefully. So it sounds like there's someone behind the dashboard just tapping when you start the car up. Every single time you start it up. I read that it has something to do with the HVAC system, the vents that open and close. It's something either stuck or a broken motor or something. Now, everything seems to work AC and heat related, but that is really frustrating to me mentally, because when I hear of work that has to be done behind the dashboard, usually you have to get underneath the car here and you have to take apart all the panels, which that is not a big deal, although this is a small car, so laying on your back over this hump is no fun. But if I have to disassemble the dashboard to repair that one, ugh, I'm not interested in that. Oh, all right, and then the next small issue is you see I've got the GPS module wedged in between the rear view mirror here and the roof. In the accident, this windshield did break on this car, so I had a brand new windshield put in. I guess the windshield installer just put some like cheap tape or didn't replace the tape in there at all, because, well, I came to it the other day and it was dangling. These issues are all extremely minor. However, it seems really cool and fun to have 4 or 5 cars. I don't even know how many I have right now. Let's count them really quick. This Fiesta 1, Mercedes 2, the Domino's car will be 3. I'm not going to count the donor car. The Audi S3 is 4, and the Corvette is 5. So I got 5 cars right now. It's just like 2 or 3 too many. So it's officially time to get rid of a few of these cars. So I've had the Audi S3 for sale for a little while now. I've dropped the price lower than what I am into the car. And that's cool because I enjoy the car. I've had some fun with it, and I should take a little bit of depreciation on it. But it's not the easiest thing for people to buy a rebuild title car. There's a lot of different factors that make buying just a used car from a dealership or buying new cars a lot easier. Number one being the financing. It's pretty tough to finance a rebuild title car. A lot of banks won't give a loan on a rebuild title car. They will give you a personal loan, but obviously personal loan has a higher interest rate than a vehicle loan because they could always just repossess the vehicle and sell it. But when it comes to a rebuild title car, you just don't know who did the work, how good the work is, and I don't blame the bank for not lending out cash on rebuild title cars. But that's just one car, so I made the decision this morning and I've listed my Mercedes S600 for sale, and I really don't want to get rid of that car. But out of all the cars, even including the Audi, I drive it probably the least. Now, it's funny because a lot of you guys have written me and said, why don't you just sell this right here? Sell the Fiesta ST and get rid of one car. And honestly, if a buyer came along and was really interested, I probably would sell this car. But I enjoy it so much. I like driving this car the most out of all the cars. Honestly, my Audi S3 is the best car I own. Number one, because it's the newest, it's the most technologically up to date. It drives like a sports car when you want it to. It's practical like a sedan when you need it to be. I like the Audi S3 a lot, but it just feels so normal to me. It's not something that feels super special, something that I have some sort of emotional connection with, like this Fiesta ST. This car is inferior as far as a sports car goes in every way to the S3, but I just have more fun driving it. I think a lot of it has to do with the 6-speed transmission. So when the Corvette is finished, I might change my mind on the Fiesta ST as the fun car of the group, and maybe this car will be the next to go, but I need to make room, especially because there's some undisclosed projects in the making. I'll leave you with that. We're almost to the place where I get the really cheap batteries. I want to show you guys that because especially if you're working on your cars or you're rebuilding a car, you always got to buy new batteries, and this kind of cool trick will save you a ton of money. Pretty sure they don't like the cameras in here, but you see all the batteries everywhere? You got pallets of batteries everywhere here. All right, we're back. Here are the two batteries. The white one is the Audi battery. The black one is the Corvette battery. Now, these batteries are a little dingy, a little dusty because they've been sitting outside, but these are pretty much new batteries, maybe a few months older than your typical ones that are sitting on the store shelf. These are what are called BLEM batteries. It's how I save a ton of money whenever I go and get a new battery. But you see, like here, this Interstate logo's chewed up a little bit. When these get messed up, they take the sticker off of them and they sell them at major battery shops. So the shop we were just at, it used to be called Interstate. Now it's called Tampa Bay Battery. What you'll want to do is, wherever you're located, just look up battery shops, especially shops that specialize in car batteries, and ask if they will sell you a BLEM. I paid $55 for this battery. The local auto parts store wanted like $190 for the same exact battery. Probably different brand, of course. All these batteries are made pretty much by Johnson Controls, as far as I understand. Anyway, but there it is, fits perfectly. So 110 bucks for 2 batteries. That would have roughly cost me like 350. Great deal. All right, checked out the car. It is still not holding a vacuum. So a brand new condenser did not solve the problem. There's only one last thing that I could figure. These are rental gauges from AutoZone, and well, they're well-used tools. So I called up Turbo Mike because I actually let him borrow the gauge in the vacuum a few days ago. And this was like the second or third time I've talked to him regarding this issue. And he decides to then let me in on a little secret that the gauges are in fact bad. You know, there's gaskets in these gauges, so one of them's pinched or broken. Could you imagine the problem all along was just a gauge? Now, I will tell you that when I said earlier that this fitting was not super flush, that is true, it wasn't super flush. So I'm not too disappointed about replacing the radiator, but all the helicoil, all the time spent diagnosing it, that's just part of the rebuild process. That happens. So we spent probably about $80 unnecessarily here, but the problem is a simple one, so I'm way happier than if it was a difficult problem like a leak behind the dashboard. So I'm going to go pick up a new set of vacuum gauges. We also need to use them on the Corvette, so it'll be good to have those. And I'm going to go a Coss Turbo Mike because, well, why not? Oh yeah, that gauge, yeah, it worked pretty good. So I ruled out. What did I rule out, Mike? That, well, okay, the gauges are fine. Gauge. And then 30 seconds after he says that, he goes, oh yeah, by the way, there was a little bit of a leak on the high side. A little bit of that might be causing your problem. I didn't really come in here to a Coss Turbo Mike, but I did have to pick up a few things. I just thought it would add to the character of everything that's going on right now. But at least Mike, and Mike's holding the camera, aka my phone, it's a better thing to be an easy problem than it is a tough problem, right? Yeah? Yeah. You think they can hear you chewing that gum? Probably. All right, this is awesome. AutoZone took back the original rental set of gauges, gave me this brand new rental, and well, this has been holding a vacuum over an hour, which means we are good to go. We can finally put the front end back on the pizza car and button this thing up and get it driving down the road. That is coming very soon. Guys, thanks a whole lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Also, have a happy new year. 2018 is going to be the year of the pizza car, guys. Thanks for watching. I will catch you very soon.